Hey everyone, welcome to the Free Agent Uprising show. This is your host, Kevin Miller. It is Wednesday, November 6th, 2013. And today's show is with Joel Boggess, the author of Finding Your Voice, my friend, longtime Free Agent Academy member and alumni, and just all around amazing guy. So he's had a book launch that's just been getting incredible fanfare. We're going to talk about his journey today and the topic of the book. Now, those of you who are watching us, we are coming to you live from Facebook for the second week in a row. We did it last week, and it was a really good time with Libby Webb. That show's not even posted yet because I did a couple things wrong. We're getting those things fixed for the recording, but the show happened, and we'll have that up in iTunes shortly. If you are with us, you can leave comments down at the bottom of the page, the Facebook page, which is at freeagentuprising.com/live. Now, a quick note on that. If you leave a comment down there, there's a little check box up there that says auto refresh comments. And if you're just here watching the show, looking at the comments, that automatically refreshes it, and you'll see new comments coming up. However, there's a little glitch there. At least in my mind, it's a glitch. If you have that check mark in there and you want to type in a comment, maybe uncheck it real quick, because you can be in the middle of typing a comment and it auto refreshes and knocks the comment right out, everything you typed, which is really irritating because it's happened to me a bunch. So just a little note on that. Otherwise, we'll be paying attention to that. Well, hey, brother, Joel.
Yeah.
How are you? How's Texas today?
Oh, man, Kevin, this is phenomenal. It's been a great day for us. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I was just thinking, gosh, we've been friends 7, 8 years. We've done mutual shows together, and it is always fun to do a Free Agent Uprising show with you, and just good to see you.
Well, likewise. And, man, I remember the first event that I met you at a long time ago, and seeing your journey, it has been quite a gift, been a huge gift. And now the fruition, I mean, you've done a lot, obviously. You've done a lot before now, but this, I know, is such a culmination for you, your book, Finding Your Voice. And wanted to ask you, just as we started out, to share what is really just what brought you to that. I mean, you know, you've been doing business for a while. You've been doing personal coaching. You found your target market, and you then were led to the message of this book. Can you give us a little snapshot of that?
Yeah, I sure will, and thank you for asking. And, you know, Kevin, you're going to have to bear with me because I'm probably going to start crying here, but it was a Free Agent Academy event. I was at Camp Elam. I was hanging out with you and my buddy Pierce Mars and Chuck and the whole crew. You know, I think James Woosley was there. I know Libby Webb was there, and we broke for lunch or something, and I stayed on because Terry, your wife, was in that room, and I talked to Terry, and I said, "Gosh, Terry, you know, I'm really drawn to helping people find their voice, and women too, especially, and I didn't know why that was, and you know, Terry's so gracious, she is, you know, kind of helped me unfold that a little bit, and." Make a long story short, it actually goes back to, you know, when I was a kid, and my parents had separated when I was 3, so life as an at-risk child started out real early for me. And while both my parents struggled through their own demons trying to rebuild and recover from their separation and divorce, while my dad battled with his stuff, my mom actually invited in to live with her an abuser, which started about age 6 for me and went on into my teenage years. And I remember there was a time I was about 10 when I walked into the living room, and Doyle and my mom were fighting, and I don't remember what I said at age 10, but I'm sure it was full of wisdom and full of wit. But you know, Doyle dropped what he was doing and charged at me, and my mom did what any mom would do, and she got in the gap for me, and she protected her son. And while I couldn't process what she did for me at the time, and 30, 35 years later. I still can't fully process it, but it put in me a desire to be that go-to guy, to stand in the gap for, gosh, women, men too, of course, but also women that are looking for their voice. And it has just, when I had that revelation, and your wife was there, it was amazing to me. So, thank you for asking.
Oh man, well, thanks for the testimony, of course, and just sharing the power of when we get together and interact and engage, what comes out of it, what amazing things come out of it. And you have been such an example of that, of somebody who has fervently sought knowledge and discerning your own path, and now here it comes in this book. Now, you just had a big release at Christ Church in Nashville, Tennessee, which my parents, Dan and Joanne, and a lot of other people that I know were at. How did that feel amongst so long ago, when you felt like you were maybe nowhere as far as this pursuit, just a kind of a dream that was a little vague, and all the challenges that have happened since that time?
Sure.
And then to be there, how did it feel?
Boy, Kevin, wow, what a loaded, powerful question. It was coming full circle. The journey for me, the real journey, started, you were there, Kevin. It started at your dad's place a good 7, 8 years ago, and I would develop clarity on my voice, and I would develop more clarity, and it's a journey. It's not a destination, and things started coming together. I started understanding how I could best help people and how I could help them in their own journey, and then just going back to where it all started, Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
And to have coming together of course, Dan, of course, Joanne, and some of the clients that I've worked with came in from various states, which was weak in the knees, humbling for me.
Yeah.
It was just it was the right place at the right time, and the right people were there. So phenomenal. Still blown away that people would come. I got an email from your friend John Schnook, a Free Agent Academy alumnus, and he sent me didn't send me an email. I posted on Facebook. He said, I left Ohio at 4:30 this morning. I'm at a rest stop in Kentucky, I think he said, and I'm on the way to see Joel in Nashville. And I'm looking at my Facebook, and I'm like, really? You're coming to see me? And I mean, stuff like that was just amazing. Amazing.
Well, I saw our good friend, didn't Wendy Stoss make it there?
Yeah, Wendy brought her newborn baby.
From St. Louis? Yeah.
And actually had to catch a ride with another one of the single, Wendy's not single, but had to catch a ride with a single mom who was coming in, and it was amazing, and still is, that people would spend time to come see me. And here's what this means. This means that people have a hunger within them, Kevin. They have a hunger to fully express who they are, what excites them, and what they stand for, their voice. And here's the good news. God put it in them. And people have a hunger for that. That's what I saw. And that's what I felt when I was in that room surrounded by 70, 75 people. The hunger is real.
Yeah. So we're going to dive into the book topic in just a second. I want you just to give a couple bullet points to your free agent journey, meaning when you came. And some of this I know, some of it I don't. But yeah, prior to even when you and I met at the event, what you were doing vocationally, what were you doing work-wise, what that background was, why you decided to go after your own thing, okay, your own self-employment, your own free agency, finding something that you cared about in your heart, and then a couple of the pieces that led up to now, because as I mentioned a minute ago, you've been doing a lot of coaching with people for a long time. Just to give people a little context, and then we'll dive into the book topic.
Sure. Well, it frames up the first point that I wanted to visit on today, and that is that your past leaves clues. And for pretty much all of my life, I've always been the guy to want to come alongside people and to help them to recognize their own value, to maximize their strengths, and to help them to overcome. And gosh, as a high school student, I was a karate teacher. As a college kid, I was a swim instructor. As a young adult, I was a personal fitness trainer. And while all that may sound like a bunch of unrelated activities and exercises, really it was all about me helping people to overcome and get to their next level, to realize their potential in their life. And the big aha for me wasn't that I was passionate or frankly any good at teaching people the basics and the fundamentals of kicking and dog paddling and all that stuff. But the big aha for me was that I was passionate about helping people to really experience themselves at a whole different level, to get connected with their skills and abilities, their personality style, their values, dreams, and passions, their voice. And there's been a lot of corporate jobs in between, or rather after, my early experiences. But even if my job didn't require me to coach and to come alongside people, I just couldn't help myself. That's who I was, and I knew it. But for a long time, I made the mistake that a lot of people make, and I tried to shield myself from that. But gosh, about eight years ago or so, I reached a turning point. Your dad was the catalyst in that, and I reached a turning point where I had to be true to myself, and I had to listen to the voice that had been calling to me over and over again, and I had to tune into it.
You took an arena that you wanted to go after, which was, in taking that desire to influence people to a greater degree, and you put yourself at a rate that I've rarely seen. You put yourself in an environment with people who are doing that.
That's exactly what I did.
So often. And to me, I mean, that's modeling, which is I sometimes feel like, have I created anything on my own? Because I feel like I just go see who's doing it well and model that. And you have done that to such a significant degree. One, you've gone and sat under people, you've gone to their conferences, you've gone to their seminars, you've pushed to make contact with them, and you've learned, obviously, because now you're doing it. And now that you're doing it, what I've seen in the past weeks, and I'm seeing at a fervor right now, all those people are supporting you and promoting you. And to the outside viewer, it looks like the best strategy ever. Was that all a cohesive strategy, or is there a little blessing thrown in there of how it all has worked?
Well, there's blessing with pretty much with everything that's been going on recently. But I have realized that too. I knew that there's no way that I could do what I wanted to do by myself. And frankly, I emailed pretty much everyone I know, including your dad, and I'm sure I sent you and Terry emails too, that my goal was to write a bestseller and to get this to the top of the list on Amazon. And I told people, I said, you know what? I don't know enough people to do it by myself. I can't pull this off on my own. And very humbly, I just said, can you help me?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I had to get over myself, Kevin, to realize that I don't have all the answers, but boy, I know enough people that can really help connect me and can help me promote my book. And what I learned is that people want to help. That hunger is also there for wanting to serve and wanting to give, and that is so prevalent in just a free agent environment, the Free Agent Academy environment, in the 48 days environment. And people want to help other people, and it started with your dad, and it just filtered into relationships that I now have, thankfully, with you and with Terry and Pierce Mars and Deb and Gino and pretty much all the the free agent and the 48 days team members.
Well, I got to point out something else, just as far as with people listening and relating with you on the desire to do something. Here you have done it, and I like to point out the things that you have done specifically, which we just talked about, making yourself be in that environment and surrounded by the right people. One, you've also, though, done such an incredible job, second to nobody I have ever known, of nurturing relationships. And one of the things that you do, which is seems like a bygone art, is writing actual cards to people. I would be interested to know how many handwritten cards go out of your office on a weekly basis, if not daily. But I, as a recipient, the desire to help, reciprocity, it nurtures to such a degree, and I very rarely see people do it at all, much less do it in a way that stands out. Now, I'm a big communicator. I hit people up via email and hopefully have shown a lot of gratitude towards people. But I got to tell you, it stands out when you get something in the mail. Sometimes when I do that, and there's a card from Joel Boggess, I think, man, why don't I do that? I forgot that you can actually write stuff and send it through the mail. So I love that you do that. I know that's gotten you so much attention.
Well, my friend Bob Berg writes about it in his book, The Art of Persuasion, winning people over without coercion or manipulation. And he talks about, just write a card. Nobody does it, but if you do it, you will stand head and shoulders above everyone else. And one of the things that I learned in carrying out that process, and I do it repeatedly, when I just came back from my road tour for the pre-release part of my book, and I took a stack of cards with me. In fact, let me say that again. I actually took a box of cards that just was shipped to me from Instaprints or wherever I order them from, and I just, as soon as I got back to my hotel room, after whatever meeting or television appearance I had, everyone that I met got a card, got a card, got a card, while I was still there in that town, because I knew that they would get it the next day. And the next time that I called them, the very first question I could ask them was, did you get a card from me?
Yeah.
And just like the smile that you have on your face right now, they would smile and they would think that, yeah, I did. And instantly we would become friends. And it's just another way of separating yourself apart, being in a category of one. And when I say category of one, there's no one to compare you to.
Yep.
Since nobody does it, there's really not.
Well, so this book, Finding Your Voice, as you've already commented on, is really focused on people who want something better. They want something different in their lives, and we all know that. So it's easy to say, and there's lots of people talking about it. But I know that your message in here came from sitting across the table from so many different coaching clients, and you felt there was something for you to say, something that you have realized that helped people along the way, and that's what was the big part of the impetus for the book. Tell us a little bit about what you experienced sitting across the table from people, working hand in hand with people, getting involved in their lives, helping them progress, that you communicated in this book.
Well, one of the things that I've learned is when people start to figure out a little bit about how they're put together and start to experiment with ways to express what they know of themselves, it's like releasing magic dust in the air. It is just an amazing thing, and experiment is the key word here, because I think a lot of people hang too much drama over their decisions and hang kind of life and death in the balance about making a particular decision. Could be a career decision, could be a relational decision, could be just a personal or a decision, but really that's not how life should be experienced. It should be lived. It should be experimented with. Easy way to think about this is you think about a creative cook in the kitchen, and we've all seen that, and you know how it goes: a pinch of this and a dash of that, and the next thing you know, you're biting into this delicious concoction that no recipe exists, and I tell people the same process that works wonders in the kitchen can work wonders in a person's life, but unfortunately, most people deprive themselves of experimentation and taste testing their way through life. And my friend Larry Wingett says it this way. He says, you know what, if you move forward and you make a wrong decision, well, you're going to figure it out pretty quickly. And then there are those times when you make the right decision, and guess what? You're going to figure that out really quickly as well. But you can't steer a parked car. And the courage and the willingness to take some action, to dip your toe in at a level that challenges you, but is still something that you can manage. It's the only way that you can fully experience yourself.
So there's your definition of risk, in a sense of you just said dipping your toe into a place that you can manage, but is challenging for yourself. I mean, that's where the crux is for a lot of people. It's the fear, as you know. And so this is what you are really, is that what you're pushing for? I mean, if you had to culminate, what you want this book, what the testimony that you want from somebody who's read the book, other than Joel, you're the best writer I've ever experienced. Other than that, what's the testimony you want?
Well, I want people to talk about they have found hope, they have found another way, they found a new perspective, and at some level they found some emotional or spiritual healing in the book. And gosh, the book has been, as we're doing this show, the book has been released for about 36 hours. And we have, last time I looked, 36 reviews on Amazon, which I don't know where that came from.
It's awesome.
But it's amazing. But it tells us, what I said earlier, that people have that hunger, that insatiable hunger that I've got to experience me more. I've got to drop the expectations, the layers of expectations that come from other people. And these can be well-meaning people, absolutely. But I've got to drop these expectations and just start to live the life that I was put here to live. And that's different for everyone. I think what fakes some people out is that when they think about really understanding what they want in their life, or what they want in the next year, or the next 3 years, the next 5 years, or developing some kind of a vision for their life. I think that people sometimes, again, with the best of intentions, fake themselves out, and they fool themselves into believing that, well, gosh, if I have a vision for my life, that means I have to have this three-dimensional IMAX-like movie playing on the wall of my home theater. But I don't know if God reveals things that way to people, and if He does, I sure haven't worked with that person.
Yeah.
Yet, but I encourage people to work with what they do see, what they do feel in their heart, what they do know about themselves, and let's dip our toe in at a level that's challenging but yet manageable, and let's taste test. Let's experiment. Let's go for a swim, and like Larry said, if it's a direction that is not in alignment with us, well, we're going to figure that out. But if it's the right direction, then we're going to catch momentum.
Well, what you said a minute ago about as far as people wanting something, yeah, it reminded me, and I'm sure you know this quote from Donald Miller in his book, A Million Miles in 1,000 Years, where he says, a good story is a character who wants something and overcomes conflict to get it. Mm-hmm. And as we're so enamored in our culture with media and with stories and with movies, and how often does the movie start and the character that we end up rooting for, crying for, applauding at the end knew how it was going to happen, had a 100-point plan for it. Not to discount planning and at all, because tomorrow I'm talking with James Woosley on planning and about his book, The Entrepreneur's Kryptonite. But they've got to just they got to want something. And I see that. I've got an 18-year-old son right now who's trying to figure out so that he can know what to do. And I'm grateful that he's not just doing something for no reason. He's trying to figure out what he wants. And he's 18, doesn't have a whole lot of context yet, so he's trying to experiment. But I see so many people who want that better life, like you're talking about. They want something better in life, but they haven't figured out what they want yet. So, and in your terminology, they haven't figured out what their voice is. You find your voice. That sounds great. I don't know what my voice is. So give us your primary points to how people can take action and go after finding their voice.
Okay, fantastic. Great question. Thank you for that. First thing that I would encourage people to do is to remove the drama from their decisions. And I was on a show, I guess it was yesterday or the day before, with a buddy of mine, Rory Vaden, wrote a killer book called Take the Stairs. He's a friend of your dad's, lives in Nashville. And when I said remove the drama, he went crazy because he said, oh, that's it. That's it. And then he said, save the drama for your mama, which I don't know why that came up during the show, but it did. But yeah,
right.
I would encourage people to remove the drama from their decision and just experiment. Gosh, Caleb's 18. He's got his whole life in front of him. This is a wonderful time for him to experiment with different things. And sometimes young people, 18, 19, 20, can get themselves in a rut by thinking, and I know Caleb doesn't do this, but thinking, gosh, I've got to decide on a major, and I've got to decide on it today, and everything hangs on this decision. And that's a lot of pressure for anyone to put on themselves, let alone a kid who hasn't yet experienced many things in their life. So removing the pressure or the drama from those decisions and allowing yourself the freedom of exploration. I just shared a blog, and your dad is kind enough to guest blog it on his deal tomorrow. And one of the subheadings is experimentation equals liberation. And I think that is the answer to your question, of what people can do. Experiment, because that equals a liberation. And surround yourself with people that believe in you and that will support you. Your dad says, and I've said it, probably I've told the story once, if not twice today, that we all need a Paul, a Peter, and a Luke in our lives. We need a Paul to pull us up by the bootstraps and to encourage us, to be a coach to us. We need a Peter to walk alongside us, slap us on the back when we need it, to kick us in the butt when we need it, and then we need a Luke to mentor to, and that is surrounding yourself with the people that will help you and that will lift you up instead of trying to focus you into one narrow corridor in your life.
There was a quote I heard from Franz Johansson, the guy who wrote The Medici Effect a few years back, I guess. And it was almost kind of a Malcolm Gladwell Outliers-ish quote. And for those who don't know that book, great killer book. Talk about breaking down some of the barriers. Yeah, removing some of the drama and the hype, I think, and some of the things that we see in people or we assume and we discount them. Meaning, if somebody succeeded, they had some great luck, some great magic wand that made it happen. And Malcolm Gladwell, in his book Outliers and his studies, said no, and he pretty much discounted that for all these big names that we would think such things about, and said they just put in the time. They just did the work. And in his case, he really pulled it out and summed it up to 10,000 hours. Well, Franz Johansson, in studying entrepreneurs and people who had succeeded in business in general, he said they just try more things. They just try more things, exactly what you're saying. And you have been, again, such an example of that. You remind me of the guy who shows up. You show up. what's happening that's a benefit, where something opportunity can happen. Which reminds me of our friend Justin Lucasavich. He's the same way. He shows up, and that's actually that's a little convicting to me, because I'm the homebody guy, and I don't always show up to that same degree. And you guys doing things happen, and I hear you saying that in so many words. Just show up. Just give yourself the opportunity.
Well, I look at it this way. I think we have a spiritual responsibility to show up for our family, of course. That's very well laid out in the Bible, and to show up for other people. But I also think we have a spiritual responsibility, Kevin, to show up for ourselves, and to really get connected with who we are, because God made us that way, and it is an empowering turning point when people start to really get connected with who they are. And I've coached a working mom, lives on the East Coast, and she's a business owner. She's an entrepreneur, and she's in her mid-40s right now. And for years and years and years, Kevin, she tried hard to become this person that she thought would be a successful business leader. She tried to be hard driving. She tried to be hard nosed. She tried to be the tough negotiator, the never take no for an answer kind of person. And yeah, while she did achieve a certain level of success, it was absolutely draining on her soul, and stripping of her spirit. And the aha for her was that she doesn't have to change her personality style. She just needs to lean into the one that she has. And that right there was a game changer for her. I was up in Nashville, not recently, but a few months prior, and I actually finally got to meet her face to face, and she said that revelation changed it all around in her coaching experience. And she reorganized her entire business around who she was. So she worked with her personality style instead of trying so hard to deny that she had the style that she had, trying to kind of shape and mold herself into this other person. So, and her business is flourishing.
And I'm curious for you personally, but then as it relates to your audience in finding your voice, because this is so much of a journey, a story of your personal journey in finding your voice. I remember, I can't put a timeline to it, but you had been doing coaching for a long time, working with, I think, all varieties of people. And you shared with me the realization of who your target market was, who you were drawn to serve, who you connected with most, and who you most wanted to help. Which you mentioned a little bit earlier, but tell us who that is again, one. But two, how did that then further clarify? How impacting was that in further clarifying your voice?
Sure. Yeah, boy, what a great question. I remember when it hit me the second time. It hit me strongly that time in Colorado, visiting with you and Terry. But the second time, I was actually in a yoga class, and there's a period of time that's a quiet time. I think they call it Shavasana or something like that, where we just kind of lay and we just be with our thoughts. And that's when I realized that, oh my gosh, the reason that I'm so on fire to help women really connect with their voice, these could be single women and married women at different stages in their life, and I figured out that the reason it was so empowering to me is because I had saw my mom go through all kinds of struggles where she didn't know or even realize that there was a voice within her. That was I guess another trigger. And I came home, and I knew that clearer than anything. And I called you, I called Chuck, I called your dad, called a variety of people. And that, you asked me how empowering that was like turning on a light switch in a room that was already lit, but just adding additional illumination. And that has been the message that I have been sharing. And when you are true to yourself, which that's what I learned how to do, people come to you. People want to hear your message because they're looking for hope. And they're looking also for tools and steps to take so that they can find clarity on their own.
You have mentioned about, just in regards to finding your voice, finding it in your past, that your past
Right.
leaves clues. I know another part that you shared with me is that finding your voice, the aspect of finding your voice in questions, paying attention and taking note of the questions or challenges that people bring to you, which was a little different because when I first started reading that, I thought find your voice in your questions, pay attention and take note of the questions, and my mind went to that I have, and that's not what you said. You said the questions or challenges that people bring to you. Tell me more about that.
Sure. Share a story in my book about a mom named Kim, and Kim has two full-grown daughters. She lives on the East Coast, and I can almost hear her voice. She would say something along the lines of, "You know, Joel, I'm not an attorney. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a teacher. I just don't think I have anything of value to offer." And like carrying around a 50-pound boulder, she lugged that limiting belief about her ability for a long, long time. And when she started the coaching process, and she's a baby boomer, she challenged that belief about her own potential. And she noticed two patterns as we went through the process. She noticed that moms, particularly, moms, would come to her with questions and challenges regarding their finances and their relationships. And she also noticed that when women, particularly moms, came to her, well, she came to life, sharing her wisdom, her experience, her excitement with those moms, and really pouring value to them. But here's the thing with Kim, and gosh, I can relate with this, because she was doing what naturally came to her, giving wisdom, guidance to those people. Since she was doing something that came so natural to her, she simply didn't see it as her doing anything special. And therefore, and here's the killer, she didn't assign any value to it. And that was a tough one for her. But over time, she started to realize that what she has to offer those moms is valuable. And people are coming to her for a reason. They see something in her that she, for whatever reason, has been blind to. And that was the difference maker for her. And since then, she has stepped away from a job that was stripping her of her soul, and she has started to step toward an environment that celebrates her gifts and that sings along with a voice that is inside her. So finding your voice in the questions. We talked about finding your voice in the past, and this one is finding your voice in the questions.
That does make me feel called back to what we've hit on multiple times now. Even that aspect involves relationship.
Yes.
Because you're not going to get those questions if you are isolated, which happens to be one of my personal struggles. I tend to isolate. My wife knows that's when to get scared, when Kevin isolates. She knows I need input. I've got to be around people. And in what you're saying, if a key point of finding your voice is in the questions others bring to you, you've got to be not only around people, because you can do that without engaging, you've got to be engaging.
You've got to be available for people and just train yourself. And it's going to take a little bit of practice, but train yourself to pay attention to why people are coming to you, because there is a reason, and I personally believe it's a divine reason that people are drawn to you. I don't think it's an accident that people just kind of bump into you and say, "Oh, by the way, can you help me with this?" Or, you know, my good friend Rabbi Daniel Lapin says that there's no such word in the Hebrew language as coincidence. And you know, I gotta believe that with them. People come to you for a reason. That's my personal belief, and it's once again up to us to share that, share what we have with others.
So I want to hit this point then as we near end of our interview here. Finding your voice in the struggles. I think
Okay.
some people will hear that and it will resonate. I think other people will hear that and go, you know what, that sounds great or it sounds relevant, but when I'm in a struggle, I don't, I'm not finding myself in that. I'm just trying to survive.
Sure.
I'm grasping. So tell us about it.
Yeah, finding your voice in the struggles. That is probably one of the most powerful of the three that we've talked about. And I share a story in my book about a mom named Jennifer. This is a different mom. And Jennifer had bought into the myth that to be a good Christian, she had to be this amazing mom, this perfect wife, and this rock star community member. And that's how she set her life up to live, Kevin, to give off that impression of perfection. And that all changed one day. That changed on the day when her husband came home and announced that he was leaving. And all of a sudden, Jennifer was an instant single mom with 2 kids and very little means of support. And as Jennifer worked to rebuild her livelihood, her self-esteem, and also shape the character of her 2 kids, she learned a lot about being a single mom. And some of the things that she learned is that the support and the resources available for single moms is oftentimes unorganized, confusing, and hard to get a hold of. So on the other end of Jennifer's recovery, she actually started an organization that was dedicated to helping single moms get back on their feet and to help them avoid the desperation, avoid the isolation and the loneliness that she herself walked through. So here's the deal. She wouldn't have known how to do that had she not had to walk through her own big challenge and go through that process herself. And now Single Mom Ministry, you look it up on Google, it started out of her hometown of Traverse City, Michigan, and it's now on track to grow at a national level. And she found her voice in the struggle. And what she learned is that sometimes it's the events that take us to the lowest points in our life that turn out to be both a springboard for greater success and also a sounding board for the voice within us. And your dad, your parents, found that out. It was their low points in their life when the IRS showed up at their front door. It's those low points that can elevate us, and it can be that sounding board within us. And Jennifer found it out. Your father found that out. Dave Ramsey found that out. And what I encourage people to do is find the courage to walk through, embrace the pain, embrace the struggle, because God has learning opportunities in there. And I'm not a Bible teacher, and I'm not going to go into did God cause it or did He allow it to happen or all that. That's for wiser minds than me. But there are learning.
I was hoping you would solve that for us today.
I'm sorry?
I was hoping you'd solve that for us today, Joel.
Today I won't. Tune in to the next Free Agent Uprising. But
there you go.
Indeed. But there are learning opportunities there, and there are growth opportunities there.
Yeah.
Jennifer, your dad, Dave, many other top performers have learned that, and they have harnessed that. And sometimes finding your voice in the struggles is the catalyst that will change the game for everyone.
Well, hey, before I let you or ask you just to give a closing message or statement to folks here, I want them to know how to get in touch with you, how to get in touch with what's happening with you. Now, Libby Webb is right here in the comments here at our live show page, which again, for those who will be listening to this later, is at freeagentuprising.com/live, which I heard at the beginning of the show was actually down because our hosting company was down for a little while. But in general, that is what's going to bring you here. Libby posted in the comments, and I got to call out Libby. We did an interview last week. I still got to post that. You can find her at Libby Webb, LIBBYWEBB.com/live. She is who helped me produce what we're doing here right now, doing a live show, a live Google Hangout with a guest. And those, folks, when I'm talking, you guys are seeing me. When Joel's talking, you're seeing him. I hear that the audio quality is killer. We're recording that. That goes into iTunes. Libby helped me produce this. Now, she is producing tomorrow a live fan page hangout and celebration at 7 p.m. Central for Finding Your Voice. And you can
I'm excited.
I know, it's killer. Well, and that's going to be at Finding Your Voice Radio. Okay, findingyourvoiceradio.com/live. You can see we're really liking the /live deal here, but that's what we're using. It'll be the same setup as this. So 7 p.m. Central, findingyourvoiceradio.com/live. What's that, Joel?
I was just going to say I've got to give a shout. I've got to just kind of jump on tail end of yours and shout out to Libby because she called me yesterday and congratulated me on the book launch. Our highest number on Amazon so far has been number 25 in
Wow.
one of our categories. Yeah, and
Wow,
phenomenal, huge. Anyways, and she called yesterday and said, "You know what, Joel? Let's do a Google Hangout." Libby and I have been friends for a long time, and I am excited and ready to put that in her very capable hands. So yeah, I'm excited that she and I are able to link arms with that, and I didn't realize that she actually put together today's Google Hangout until you just said so. So
yeah. Yeah, she's the source here. I just haven't posted the information yet. We did the show last week, and I had a glitch on my end because I'm doing a few extra things, being able to bring in music, and I'm recording this for iTunes as well, though this gets immediately replayed on our YouTube channel. But obviously, Finding Your Voice, that book, you can get now, anyone can get now on Amazon. Go to Amazon, type in Finding Your Voice. It's Joel Boggess, but it'll just pull up there, and you can buy the book. Otherwise, though, where can people who want to connect with you best do so?
Yeah, best place to go, other than Amazon, is fyvbook.com. F for finding, Y for your, and V like in voice. fyvbook.com. There you can read all the testimonials. I think we've got 100+ comments currently from people who have already read the book. You can buy it right there. The Amazon links and other favorite online retailers are right there on the page fyvbook.com. Plus, you can download all of the resources that I actually have as a compliment to everyone who visits. So you can get the book, or if you decide not to for whatever reason, you can still download all of the worksheets and all of the resources that go along with the book. fyvbook.com, and we've got some killer bonuses available during our promotion. Your parents, Dan and Joanne, are actually have actually graciously offered us Living, Loving, and Working, their audio training series, as part of the book bonuses. Gosh, Bob Berg, the Go-Giver himself, is doing a 30-minute Go-Giver coaching call for all of the book buyers in a group setting. So we're excited about that. Rabbi Daniel Lappin's involved, Mark Sanborn, and the list just goes on and on and on. So I'm real excited about that, Kevin. Thank you for giving me that opportunity.
Joel, man, I just appreciate you, one, letting me be a small part of the journey, sharing it here with folks. And we have an audience here of people who are significantly trying to, one, find their voice, and two, that are pursuing freedom in their life through free agency, and here you are, and I've gotten to see you, and you've gotten to see a lot of my journey too, but I've gotten to see you go from the beginning stages to now this fruition, which is just incredible. I'm so proud of you and envious at the same time. I want my book launch party, and I'm not there yet, and I love you're inspiring me. I'm so grateful. What would you leave our crowd here with today?
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity and for giving me just the last word on this. And I would encourage people, just like I encourage them every time I'm on my show, to listen to your voice because no one else can hear it. To tell your story because no one else can speak it. And to chase after your passion because no one else can catch it. Because you see, Kevin, being true to the person that you were created to be is the greatest gift that you'll ever give to yourself, your family, the world, and also to God. Thank you so much, Kevin. This has been a delight.
Awesome. Joel, thanks, brother. I will get this posted. I'll send the links out to you so you can share it with folks. I'll be posting it for everybody on my blog and in iTunes, and really encourage folks to go check out Joel's book and subscribe to his emails and be a part of his own journey in finding his voice. And as he helps other people do that, he can help you as well. Everyone, I will be tomorrow, Thursday. It's kind of an impromptu show with another of our buddies who we've gotten to journey with, James Woosley, who just wrote The Entrepreneur's Kryptonite. We're going to be doing a show on the fly because he's going to be sitting here live in my audience. He's here for, I think, 4 days. He's working with my wife on her business plan, and that's what he really helps us with, is planning. So we're going to do that. For you to know, I don't even have a time to tell you when we're going to do it. We're going to be sending it out somewhat on the fly and say, hey, we're going to be going live in X amount of minutes or an hour or whatever. If you want to know that, what I'd ask you to do is go to freeagentuprising.com/live. Okay, that's our Facebook page where we're talking to everybody, where we're coming to you from right now. And quick scroll down and you'll see a green box that says Get Show Alerts. Click on that button. It'll ask you to access your Facebook information. That's how we can connect with you. That's all you've got to do. Just say, okay, that's all you've got to do. We will use that just to tell you when shows are happening, when shows are posted, and you'll have the opportunity to know about what's happening tomorrow and in upcoming shows. We generally are going to be doing one like we always have, Wednesdays, 2 p.m. Mountain Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. But more and more, I'm going to be doing shows on the fly as well, and I'll be airing them live. We'll be recording them for everybody, but we'll be airing them live. If you want to know and have the chance to join us, go to freeagentuprising.com/live and click the Get Show Alert button. Joel, thank you. Thank you to everybody who is with us today. I'll give you a little outro music with Ronnie Freeman's Breakaway, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next show.